It's Christmas time. It's shortbread time. I'm going to give you a foolproof, basic recipe that you can then branch out and do your own family version. First thing I want to talk to you about is shortbread is this guy. This is a shortbread mold. Traditionally, shortbread was made and then pushed into timber molds. I've got an awesome one with a thistle on it called Scottish. Looks good. All hand carved, unbelievable. I just love the molds. There's something really old fashioned about it. The recipe is super old fashioned as well. Back in the old days, it was 3, 2, 1. That was what we got taught. 3 parts of flour, 2 parts of butter, and 1 part of sugar. There's only 3 ingredients. When did I start doing 3 ingredient recipes? I've got no idea, but I am. Here it is. Butter goes in first. Now we're using unsalted, good quality butter, right? Because shortbread needs to be crumbly, and the way to get that is the butter. Tip your sugar in there, and then we're gonna get that into a mixer. I'm using a paddle, right? You don't wanna use a whisk. And also, make sure your butter's soft. Otherwise, you're gonna have a horrid time trying to do this. Mixer. And you just wanna beat the sugar and the butter together. This is like critical that you get this bit right. If you overwork it at this stage, you'll end up with too crumbly shortbread, right? So the mixer was on for honestly, 40 seconds. So now I'm gonna give my bowl a right good scrape down. And the reason for that is there's always gonna be some sugar at the bottom of the bowl that doesn't catch your blade. All right, pop this back in. The right way, not the wrong way. It's Christmas. I've had too many whiskeys. I can't put the bowl in the KitchenAid. All right, got it. Obviously, I went Christmas shopping at Maya and bought myself a fancy, shiny new KitchenAid, which matches my jumper, because Christmas, it's red. This is like the Santa Claus edition of, it's not actually, but it looks like it. It could be. So now that that's all in there, I'm mixing it just to incorporate it, make sure that the sugar and the butter is creamed but not whipped, right? So that's it. Flour goes in next. I'm using, as you should, plain flour. You can't use bread flour or any kind of strong flour because you'll get sort of almost like a chewy hard biscuit, which is obviously not shortbread. Okay. And now slowly bring it together. When I was first taught by my gran how to make shortbread, she would have a pile on the bench of the sugar and the butter and then work the butter and the sugar together with her hands. And the pile of flour would have been sifted and then just add a little bit of flour at a time until you make the dough. And sometimes she wouldn't use all of the flour, and that's the important thing with this. Sometimes you need a little bit less flour, sometimes you need a little bit more. It's all about using your eye. So you can see it's just starting to peel off the sides of the bowl, and that's perfect. What you don't want to do is overwork the dough, and it ends up like cement. Get it in a KitchenAid. You can do a big batch at one time. Perfect. So, in terms of texture, it should feel like super fine, damp sand. Okay, the recipe that I'll put below is enough to make about 6 of these shortbread molds. My mold fits 200 grams of shortbread. Never get it exact the first time, to be honest. I'm better at the really small increments. Like, weirdly, I can measure out 1 gram perfectly. Okay, so when you're using a mold, right, you gotta think that the more perfectly smooth it is on the way in, the more perfect the imprint of the mold will be, right? And that's the whole point of this. So what you wanna do is just using your hands, pat it out, make it smooth. Make it smooth. And then we're gonna get our mold. I'm gonna get some flour. This is a really important part, is to brush your mold with some flour. So you want to get in all of the nooks and crannies, all of the edges, anywhere that the dough can stick to your mold, it will, trust me. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing to make sure we've got a double safety net going on. All right, and now we're going to put it in carefully to our mold, and I'm going to push down quite firmly. And as I do, I'm pushing the dough into the center of the mold, trying to get it as level as possible and trying to push it in as much as possible. My Gran Kelly, we used to arrive at her house. She would disappear into the kitchen to make you a cup of tea, come back with a cup of tea, then go back into the kitchen and come out with fresh shortbread out of the oven. Mental. All right, this is the bit that's going to make me look stupid. So get your mold and put it upside down, and then we're going to try and very gently unpack this. All right, so give the mold a bit of a crack. When it starts falling out, you see that? There it is. Look at that, how beautiful does that look? That was a Christmas miracle right there, look at it. So now that you've got it turned out, 150 degrees, half an hour. So it's a low temperature, we're looking for a nice blonde shortbread. I don't want to see any super caramelized shortbread from you guys. It's been 30 minutes, and what we have is a beautiful, perfect shortbread. Now, the thing about shortbread is, unfortunately, you have to wait. You gotta let it cool down. I try not to move it even off the tray. Generally speaking, shortbread is short, it's crumbly, and if you try and move it while it's hot, it'll ruin your life and it'll break. So don't do that. I've got some shortbread that I made the other day, which is already cool and perfect, and have a look at it. I think it's, for me, the perfect thing to whip out. You got people around for a cup of tea or take it as a gift at Christmas time. They wish they could have my shortbread. Let's just have a look inside. I want to show you how crumbly and delicious it is. Can you see that, the inside of it? Isn't that amazing that a recipe like this has been around for hundreds of years? It works perfectly. There's a reason why these classic recipes are still around. I reckon Grant Kelly would be proud of me. Thanks for watching, and if you liked that, please click subscribe, because there's plenty more where that came from. Also, if there's a recipe that you actually want to see me make, chuck it in the comments below and we'll get around to it. Thanks for watching.